U.S. Bureau Chief, Life Site News, guest host of Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, Ben Johnson. Welcome back, Ben.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the invitation to Chris Matthews. You know, as Apollo Creed said in Rocky II, the bum's hiding from me, the bum's ducking me, he's afraid of me.
And I will just bring in Rocky III. I bet after you go on one of those shows, finally, that you will just have one thing to say. I got a lot of mo.
They ain't so bad. They ain't so bad.
Yes, they ain't so bad. Hey, how you been, first off?
Thank God. Good to be back with you. Thank you.
It's good to be with you, and thanks for taking the time. And, Ben, I want to jump right in because we obviously always have a lot to cover. But tonight, I want to bring us to the subject, and I'm pulling up, as this is what happens, why Crane Durham always needs a teleprompter, never will get on President Obama for having one. But I would like to get to cut number 7. Excuse me. Yes, cut number 7. And it is the concerns about Obamacare navigators. This is a clip of a hearing that took place in Texas yesterday with our friend, I believe the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Darrell Issa, and we have Jay Carney yesterday responding to allegations that navigators are, well, let's just say there's not enough an examination of their backgrounds. Roll it.
We cannot have a repeat of the acorn-like activities that led to too many people believing that there was something for nothing and ultimately ending up with nothing when they started with something.
This is just one more data point in the Republican obsession with sabotaging Obamacare. All navigators must complete about 20 hours of training, including training on privacy issues. And this training is not a one-time only process.
Tell me this. I believe you gave us an exclusive as you produced it for LifeSite News on navigators, Obamacare navigators, and the problems that were going to take place and were seen at the time. And that was a while back, was it not, Ben?
It was. Nothing But Truth with Crane Durham on AFR Talk was the first radio program in the country to have that information, I believe. So you were well ahead of the curve, but this was
because
months
of
ago.
You. Yeah.
And this was months ago, and they've had plenty of time to fix it. And of course, I'm following what State Attorney General and of course what Congressman Ice has been doing, and of course Jay Carney in that bit said that it's because we hit Obamacare that we're trying to take it down with the facts. It's an obvious train wreck. It's a transparent train wreck where you have, in some states, 0 people have signed up for Obamacare. In some states, a handful of people have apparently gotten through but not actually paid. In some cases, their bank accounts are being debited in massive amounts, well beyond what they should have been. Their bank accounts essentially are being cleared out. And in other cases, Obama's essentially ordering insurance companies to provide free coverage when they aren't able to bill people for the coverage that they signed up for. So it's a train wreck on every level, but the navigators was the most obvious, transparent part of it. He said in that clip, the navigators have to go through 20 hours of training. What he didn't tell you was, originally they were supposed to go through 30. It was scaled back so that they could get everybody hired by October 1st and get that wonderful website running, all on deadline. And you can see the results of this. Kathleen Sibelius told Senator John Cornyn in Congress, as you and I have discussed on this program, that there are, he said there wasn't a lack of training, Carney said in that clip. Training really wasn't so much the concern. He picked on the one area where there is something in place, although it's been watered down. The real concern is that there's no background check and there's no accountability, and there are no standards for these people. These standards are all implemented by the grant recipient on the other side. In some cases, it's the National Urban League, which has been caught by our good friends at the Veritas Project, James O'Keefe, lying to people, encouraging people to lie in order to get a higher subsidy. In some cases, that's Planned Parenthood. In some cases, it's local unions that are recipients of this. The entire Navigator program essentially was one big slush fund for the Obama administration to pay back some people in the institutional left, which are its allies, with federal government, with federal money, with your tax dollars in mind. And there are 0 background checks. There are 0 screenings. Sibelius told John Cornyn that the people who are doing this could be felons, and in fact, although she didn't say it, they could have been felons who were convicted of identity theft. And they asked Willie Sutton, why do you rob banks? And he said, because that's where the money is. If I were an identity theft, and I don't want to give anyone any ideas, but if I were an identity theft, I would go directly and apply for a job as a navigator, because all of our identity infrastructure information is served up on a silver platter, and it can be compromised at will.
Last week, John Shimkus questioned Kathleen Sibelius about the insurance providers and the abortion coverage issue. Now, I don't know if you had a chance to check out the clip I sent you, but
Sure did.
Okay, tell me, set this one up for us because I want to play it. But John Shimkus is questioning and asking for a list. I believe he's asked for this list before. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, this is the original time when he asked for it, and I think it was October 30th in hearings in Congress. He's asking Kathleen Sibelius, can you provide a list of plans under the Obamacare exchanges that do not fund abortion? And this is the exchange, the original exchange a few months ago.
Roll it.
Let me finish on this debate. It's another transparency issue. If someone, a constituent of mine, or someone in this country has strongly held pro-life views,
here we go.
Can you commit to us to make sure that the federal exchanges that offer that is clearly identified, and so people can understand if they're going to buy a policy that has abortion coverage or not? Because right now, you cannot make that determination.
Sir, I don't know. I know exactly the issue you're talking about. I will check and make sure that is clearly identifiable.
Well, here's our request. Can you provide for the committee the list of insurers in the federal exchange who do not offer, as part of their package, abortion coverage?
I think we can do that, sir.
Well, you should be able to do it.
I just said.
No, you said if we can do it.
No, I think we can do that, is what I said.
I think, or I know we can do it.
Sir, I can't tell you what I don't know firmly right now. I know that is the plan. I will get that information to you.
So, Ben, some people look at that and say, well, is Shimkus being, in a way, not polite? I mean, she said she'd do it, but you have the rest of the story, so please go ahead.
Well, indeed, and of course, this I think answer that was given back in October 30th was evasive in itself. She had just given an interview. You remember after the Obamacare rollout in October, people were calling for her resignation or for her to be fired, and she had just given an interview on CNN where she used the term "I think" more than a dozen times, which is a way of evading the question. So when he asked, "Can you do this?" and she said, "I think so. I don't know. Maybe." There's this wiggle room, and sure enough, at the follow-up hearing last week, Representative Shimkus asked, "Say, last time you were here, we talked about you producing this list. Where on earth is it?" And there was a very tense exchange between the two of them. She basically said that all of this information is already available. She doesn't have to make anything available to you, because if you just look at the summary of benefits in every program, it will tell you whether they cover whether the Obamacare exchange covers abortion or not. And Representative Shimkus, at the hearing in the clip that you just played back in October, held up summary of benefit statements that did not have that information. In fact, under Obamacare, programs are supposed to give a summary of total benefits. They are not supposed to get into individual riders and things of that sort. So it's questionable whether they can even produce this under the law. But he has many programs, many examples of cases where the insurance programs simply do not tell you whether they cover abortion or not. And once again, she essentially evaded the question about whether she would produce this list she promised to produce in the first place. So the only person who's producing a list right now is Congressman Chris Smith of New Jersey, wonderful pro-life Republican. His wife, he formerly was involved in crisis pregnancy centers. His wife is very much involved in the pro-life movement in Europe, Marie Smith, and Congressman Chris Smith has had his staffers just calling up organizations trying to find out what each program covers. He's found in some places 0 exchanges offer programs that do not cover abortion. Of the ones that are offered to congressmen, I think there are 112, 113, and all but 9 of them cover abortion. So it's a very difficult thing to find this information in the first place. And when you do, it's very slim pickings if you don't want to violate your conscience on the issue of taking an innocent life.
Ben Johnson, U.S. Bureau Chief, LifeSite News. Again, because of the schedule as it is, I'm going to have you back real soon, and I'll talk to you about that on the flip side of the break, which is after the show. But I must tell you, we appreciate you coming on, bringing us up to speed on these and clarifying, and once again, not getting the truth. And that's the problem. And you outlined it, you clearly identified it, and people can make, hey, it's buffet, take it or leave it, but the truth is there. Live with honor in your life, compassion in your heart. Remember, always keep the faith in Jesus Christ. Know that God knows you. He created you. You have a purpose. You're worth it. He loves you. Right where you're at. Brain Durham's Nothing But Truth. AFR Talk. Go to the Facebook page and check out what we talked about tonight. NothingButTruth.com.